Howdy folks, happy Thursday, hope you're doing alright. Oh, that was already kind of quiet. Oops, I forgot, I did the wrong thing there. Alright, so hopefully you're doing alright. You had a good break. We are back into March now, or welcome to March. I heard someone said daylight savings time is starting or ending, or I really should figure this thing out here, this weekend. So we're going to lose an hour, which is really unfortunate. Let's see. Yeah, so it starts March 13th. Lucky us. So we're going to lose some time on the 13th. Lose an hour. So good luck with that. Oh boy. But so we're going to finish up the PHP portion of the course. We'll look at secure websites. We don't actually do a whole lot with this. Again, we're focused on the development side of things, not the server administration side of things, but we'll talk about it a little bit here. I will look at the basic authentication, and I guess this is probably wrong. We're actually going to use the forms-based authentication, but just some intro to authenticating to websites. And for email, again, we're not actually going to email anything. I don't want to put passwords out there, but it's super simple. You just plug a username and password in from Gmail, and you're off to the races. Works out pretty well. We'll talk about Project 2 tonight, which will be our actually our last PHP-based project, where we're going to pick up the arrays, functions, and objects portion. We're going to keep iterating on our store as we go here, but we're going to introduce objects and functions and arrays and things to it. Should be a lot of fun. And then tonight we're also going to intro web programming using Java, MVC, and Tomcat. So it's all about getting stuff set up with Tomcat finally. And then next week we'll get into developing our servlets. We'll talk about Java server pages. We'll pick up Project 3. This one will be a little shorter, not quite as involved here. It's like the only project we're going to require JSP and servlets for. Excuse me. And then the final project, you have the option of using PHP or JSP as we continue on talking more about the Java stuff. So we don't actually get to the databases till the week after, but you're able to do all the other stuff beforehand. Sessions and cookies for getting logged in. Again, it takes a little bit of time, unfortunately. So I think, I don't know, it's a little fuzzy, but most people are generally pretty successful. You can start building out small pieces as we go of the final project if you want to use Java. And that's perfectly fine. That second to last week, DOM, AJAX, and frameworks, we'll talk about doing some our object model manipulation with AJAX. And then we'll look at doing images, which is a lot of fun. And then we'll talk about some frameworks. Again, we don't teach any of the frameworks. We figure if we teach you the basics, you can go pick up the frameworks after the fact. We'll just talk about a couple of them. And then on April 28th, yes, we're already looking at April, which is not too many weeks from now, right? So we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks from tonight. We'll get together on Zoom, and you folks will present your final projects. I would strongly encourage you folks to work in pairs on this, but I'm not going to require it, given we're still kind of in the midst of a global pandemic. Although we've got pretty decent remote learning tools, or remote collaboration tools, but again, it's an option. And it's the same project whether or not you do it individually or in pairs, because there actually is more work that needs to be done when you work in pairs, doing all that collaboration piece and coordination and figuring out who's doing what and testing stuff with each other and that sort of thing. So don't think pairs are actually doing less work. It works out to be about the same amount of work as an individual trying to tackle it themselves. So that all kind of shakes out at the end here. Pardon me. I managed to pick up another cold overnight. My little guy's been stuffy and miserable for a couple days, and I think I finally got it from him. So it had been rough. I'm on all sorts of cold meds to keep me dried up here, and now it's just all draining into the throat, and I'm a little loopy. So we'll see how well that works. So speaking of that, I should take some insulin here. Just scarf down some dinner. Let's see. It's probably about that much. All right. So other questions, thoughts, concerns? How did the midterm go? Hopefully no surprises there, and it was relatively straightforward based off of what we'd practiced. I'm happy to go over any of those questions too if you folks have any questions about the midterm. I have gotten basically nothing graded. I apologize. I thought I would get a lot of stuff done over break, and then the whole Russia and Ukraine incident broke out, which hits real close to home. 2 of my kids are Ukrainian that we adopted from Ukraine. We have friends there. We actually lost one of them in the fighting in Kyiv, which basically ruined my whole week. I'm a little better now, getting through it at least, processing that. But I didn't do a whole lot for a week. And that was is that the midterm week or the week of break? It's been, oh my goodness, that would have been, I don't even remember. I forget whatever that date in the calendar was. It was a Sunday. Yeah, it was the last Sunday in February. Okay, KB, let's plan the time to get together and figure out what's going on with that. So I think we went over, did we go over the solution to it yet, or have we not gone over the solution to it yet? I think we did, right? We finished, I showed solving project 1, right? I think that took most of our night when I was solving project 1. So I think the solution's out there. So you're welcome to look at that, or I'm happy to talk through what needs to be edited in yours as well. Either's perfectly fine. But we're going to take this store and we're going to do more iterations on it for project number 2 here. And hopefully that works out, using that same sort of thing and evolving it as we go, kind of iterating over, adding features and functionality and things. So we're not actually going to be adding a whole lot of functionality here. We're going to be doing a lot of, it's going to feel like busy work, but it's setting the stage for a more proper way to interact with things, so that later we can change and extend and add functionality with it being easier on us. So we'll talk about that when we get to project 2 as well. So yeah, let me know. I'm happy to have a chat with you folks. That's literally what my office hours are for. It's for you folks to come and chat and me to answer questions and do whatever we can there. So there's some talk in academic circles, which I'm sure you folks have no interest in hearing about because it's super boring most of the time. But changing the word office hours, or changing the term office hours to like student service hours or something like that, so that it's more clear that my office hours aren't time I'm just sitting around doing stuff. It's time I have set aside to meet with you folks and help you get stuff pointed in the right direction, at least. And I just love talking general tech too. That is one thing I do miss with the remote environment. It's a little harder to, like on breaks and stuff, to just talk about interesting things in tech. Because that's always fun to talk about and chat with each other and see who works where and what's a good place. So hopefully Discord takes a little bit of that place there, but I don't know, it's not the same as gathering in person, unfortunately. So we'll do what we can. But yes, if you're in the Discord, feel free. If you have tips on places that are good to work, or internships, or you've heard this is a great post or you see the openings, post them in that career info section there. My hope is that it turns into a nice community, just starting with all the students that I have. I'm kind of building on that, and as we can get more alumni graduated and through the program and out into the industry, we can sort of lean on them as well for some information. So I did post, I think I posted it, a former student of mine reached out. They're now the internship coordinator for a retail services technology company. They do all the programming and stuff for whatever, I don't know exactly what, but she said they're going to hire an intern. So I think I posted that. I'll have to double check and see if that's in there. But those are the sort of things that I think are just super cool. Like, so as you move on out and up into the world, keep in touch, and we'll see if we can't pay it forward a little bit to other people. I also should mention summer registration is live now. Oh, excuse me. Let me get mute here. All right, good. I didn't blow your ears off with that. So feel free to go look for some sections for summer if that's your thing here. The search is kind of weird here lately. I don't know. You used to be able to search for specific things, and now you do it like the filters over here. But we can go find then all the CIS specific courses here, filtering by subject. I guess, the new system at least looks a little prettier. It doesn't look quite so old school as we go here. So this is all the CIS courses. So you don't even you can't search by course number, which is the weirdest thing. You can here in this top box, but that sort of thing. So if there's courses you want, hopefully you got in and registered already. Priority registration was Monday, Tuesday for folks with enough credits. But now everyone else is in and being able to register for anything else that may or may not be interesting to you, or other classes you need for the program. So we'll go from there. And then, obviously I want to plug the stuff I'm teaching, because why not? data structures we haven't done yet will be fully online asynchronous with me. This course again, sorry, we're going to try it online asynchronous. So I'd love to hear from you folks of what you think would be good asynchronous versus bad asynchronous. So anybody who's sort of been doing the flex option where you're just watching the recordings, let me know. Generally, when we get to a fully online asynchronous and there's no live lectures at all, I'm going to break stuff up into smaller videos. So it's not, hey, here's 3 hours of class you can sit and watch. So I think that will help with that asynchronous nature. You can tackle, hey, here's just one section at a time here, smaller than that. But because we're remote synchronous, now we just get the 3-hour class recording. And maybe that's a little bit overwhelming. So, or maybe you like it. So just let me know what you think. Happy to hear from you folks and see what you find useful in online classes, because we're still working on these and trying to improve them as we go. So that's all new and fun. And then also a Python class. This one is in person, but I'm going to do the same flex format. So I'll be on Twitch from the classroom. So if anyone wants to come in person, great. If anyone wants to be online, they can attend remotely. Should be no problem at all. The only synchronous requirement is the final project presentation, where I have to meet live with people. And that's that should be it for anything else next semester. Have fun, go for it, and I hope you have a wonderful summer. I can't believe we're thinking about summer already. That's crazy. All right, and I think I have NetBeans open already. Yes, I do. Fantastic. Close all these down here, and then let's take our store here. Let's open up our store project, because we want to do a couple things. Let me find 2454 for the winter. Our store project. Let me actually copy paste this so that one stays the same here. Actually, real quick before I do that, let me go do that, because that way we'll have that version just stuck there, and then you can go and see. I don't know if it's more useful to be able to see what changed, or just you can compare the two yourself. Sorry, my screen's on the other window here in a second. In just a moment. Okay, let me try and throw that over here. 2454. There we go. Okay, so here's a copy of it. We'll call this V3. And then I think, just because we should add all the ignore files here, I think there's an ignore I want to add. So I'm going to go edit this file here. Oh yeah, VS Code, why not? I like VS Code. Looking at using VS Code for PHP in the near future, because NetBeans is a little bit difficult to deal with, but we'll see. It's not been too bad. Yeah, so let's add store project. Let's add V2 and V3. 2 and V3 here. So just it will keep anything in that private folder from being added. It should be fine. So then in GitHub now, let's open up our GitHub client. Oh, speaking of feedback, probably Friday, I think I'll end up getting to that. I'm going to send out a link, or I'll add a anonymous survey, sort of like the end of semester surveys, but it's a mid-semester survey where you can give anonymous feedback. Just a quick little check-in on what's going well, what's not going so well, anything that we should be tweaking as we go. That's another tip I picked up from the academic chatter. So, I mean, some of it's interesting, and it's not all so boring. So send semester surveys. Okay, so I will do that after. So we'll take a look at GitHub here for 2454 for winter. And now we see all that store v3 stuff. Great. So this is store v3 started. Okay, so we'll still be able to see the change here. That's good. That's good. And push that. Oh. Okay. Let's open up that store v3. And then we're going to see what we can do to classify add a bunch of classes to it. I think classify is probably the wrong word there, but it sounds fun. And then we'll add some basic authentication, which should actually be really fun as well. So we can actually like log into the store and say, hey, if you're logged in, you can go manage these things. But if you're not logged in, we're probably not going to let you update a bunch of things, right? We kind of want to hide some of those administrative functions behind the login. So make sure all the people who are authenticated can go and log in. All right, we'll have to change our properties, right? Make sure we're copying this to the correct location in our htdocs folder, and then that the URL is correct as well. So a couple things have to happen while this opens. And then hopefully we'll get there. Okay. This is store project v3, properties. We'll change those couple things. So we want to copy to store project v3 for our copy to folder. And then in our run configuration, we want to use store project v3 as the URL, port 5080. Let me go start up my XAMPP stuff. Excuse me. Oh. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm going to need to go get some more hot coffee in a minute. This is not as hot as it was. It doesn't feel so nice. All right, make sure those start. Oh my goodness, what just happened? Oh goodness, that sounds bad. Okay, it worked the second time. Sure. That's scary. Sure. Why not? Maybe? Okay. I don't know. Let's see if it works. Let's see if I can even like launch the copy paste of this project that did work a couple weeks. That was 3 weeks ago. I think we did this now. Wow. Time flies, friends. Time just flies. Yeah. Items, customers, transactions, line items, home. Looking good so far, right? Looking good so far. You folks with me? So how far? Man, I should, my friends, it's been a while. What did we do 3 weeks ago here? We did lab 4, which is our, oh, the lab was our midterm practice, right? We did project 1. We only did arrays. We didn't get to classes. My goodness, that's what's happening. You folks need to keep me on topic here. So we didn't get to classes yet. So we need to do classes, because we did arrays. We've already done functions here. So we started working with how we can manage our own arrays using key value pairs, right? Using either indexes here or the key value pairs as we want to go. So lots of options for using arrays. It was fun. Then we talked about lab 3 and lab 4. Oh my goodness. Did we do all that? Yep, our pizza crust, then the lab 4 was the midterm practice, and then store v3 was today. Oh dears. Okay, friends, but this is cool. This is why Git is also a fantastic tool for tracking your source control, tracking your source code, because you can see what changed when. I think you feel pretty good about it. So, how are you folks feeling? So we're going to talk about classes first, right? And then we'll talk about secure websites and Auth. We can do all of that sort of as we go here. And we should be in decent shape. Does that sound okay? Okay, so it might actually take us a decent amount of time tonight. We'll probably go till 8:30 or 9. We'll see how well that goes. All right. Thanks, Dented. Dented leek. Is that leek like the vegetable? Right? L-E-E-K, I think. It's one of my favorite dad jokes. When you buy leeks, you have to, you ask the cashier, can you put that in a bag because it leaks? And then they just look at you funny, like, okay, sure. Not everyone appreciates the dad jokes, so. Oh, excuse me. Let me go get some hot coffee before we get started on this. I apologize. Can we take like a 5-minute break? Just a quick 5 while I go get some hot coffee and probably another cough drop. We can go from there, okay? All right, so we'll put on some music here. We'll go for 5. Be right back. Sorry. So that puts us out to, what is that, 6:30 p.m. And then we'll get moving again here, okay? Thanks, folks. Alrighty, friends. Thanks for that quick little break. Oh, the hot coffee is really good. I think one of the best things I ever got was a coffee pot that is thermally insulated. So it's not the kind of coffee pot where it has like a little heater at the bottom and it heats the pot. Instead, it brews into a thermally insulated coffee pot. It's fantastic. Crow, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you around. Oh, excuse me. Man, I think we'll get to the JSP stuff tonight. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be a lot, right? Going to be a lot here. You folks want to stay all night long, right? You want a normal 4-credit class where you stay all the way till 9:45 p.m.? That is exactly what sounds like so much fun for everybody, I'm sure. The forms themselves, we did some form data here on February 10th, and then we were using them as well, yeah, for one of the labs. We went over lab 3 on the 17th, I believe, right? Because we have our solution to it here. Oh, no, on the 24th, we went over lab 3. So on the 24th, we did a quick session for lab 3 and lab 4. That's what it was. So that was the midterm night. But we ended up doing a quick session on here's the lab solutions because those were the reviews. So we should have those lab and review out here. Let me make sure I put the link out in our archive. Yeah, so it was part of the review here. This review was labs 3 and 4. Because lab 4 was essentially our midterm practice. Excuse me. All right, awesome. Yep. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to start introducing classes in PHP code, which is really fun. So we're not going to mess with any of the views yet. We'll get to those in a minute. We're going to start with model here. So I'm going to go to my models here. I'm going to add a new model. Let's add a model for, excuse me, item. You know, it could actually probably be in the item model class. We already have a model class for it. It should be fine. We'll throw it in here. Okay? So we have a bunch of functions here. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to go and define a class. So just like we did in Java land, we can make a class. Remember, a class is the blueprint for this is what all the attributes are, and these are the public methods that you get to interact with. It's one of those fundamental concepts of object-oriented programming. We make instances of classes, right? Where, okay, like this prepare here is calling the prepare function on that database object, which is an instance of, I think it's what, PDO? Yeah, this PDO. So our database is an instance of the PDO class. So it has a method, right, prepare, that we're calling, giving it the query, and it gives us back a new object, which is our statement object, which has methods like bind value. So we've been using them before, but now we're going to look how we define them ourselves as we go. That's the wrong button. I want this one here, because I'm going to shamelessly copy out of the book. We're using different examples, though. But I always like having their syntax for reference, because so many different languages, and all of them are just ever so slightly different. And let's be honest, it's not worth keeping that sort of stuff in your head when you can just go find a reference for it. All right, so we're going to define this class. We're going to have a class for item. Now, capital I item, right? This is the class. So classes are typically uppercase here. Uh-oh. All right, it wants it in a separate. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. We will put it in its own file. It's telling us we did a bad thing. That's okay. No big deal here. So we'll call this an item class. We want to follow those style guidelines, those little warnings there. So this will be cleaner here. So we have class for item here. Now it should be happier with us because our file name is item. Not a requirement, just a convention, just a style guideline. Life is good. Now, same thing like in Java land, we want private attributes with public methods. So I'm going to say, hey, I want a private. Now, item had a couple attributes, right? What did item have in our item shop? Item had a SKU, a name, a quantity, and a price. And I believe, let's go check our PHP myadmin, because honestly, I don't remember friends, and that's okay. It's no big deal if you don't remember things. We just go look them up. Change my port number to 5080. See if this will load here. We're going to check that item table and make sure we get the right. Oh, actually, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry. Yeah, so this is the SKU. And then we have a private value for name. And then we also have an item. Item had quantity and price. That's the wrong button. This one here. So a private quantity and a private price. Okay, so we have our private attributes, and we're going to have public methods. So I think I can do this. Does it work here? Yep, so we're going to add, oh my goodness, my fork. Sorry. We want getters and setters here. We only want getters and setters. We want the underscore style, like the underscore style here, for quantity and price. Marv, that is exactly what I am saying, my friend. Please, please, please do better things with your memory than try and remember every little thing in a library, right? Developers get paid a whole lot of money, and I have never once had anybody tell me, you must do this from memory, you are not allowed to look anything up on the internet, you're not allowed to use any references, do it off the top of your head. Because that would just be stupid of an employer, right? Okay, I figured you were joking there. Yeah, Marv. Sorry if that came out wrong. Yes, so, right, we don't tell developers, we don't tell our programmers to do stuff off the top of their head. Yes, as you get more familiar with things, things are, in your memory, and that's fine. You don't need to go look them up, but no one ever says you're not allowed to, because that'd just be dumb. So we will follow that habit, and we will not be dumb. We'll go look stuff up. So I want getters and setters for quantity and price. Okay, so now I have a get quantity method that returns a this quantity. So this is the same idea in Java land. Remember, this was the current object, but now it's required in PHP. So this is no longer optional to have the this. If you want your current instance's quantity, you must be this. And then we use this arrow notation, which drives me nuts, instead of the dot notation. But just because I'm more familiar with the dot notation. So we use this arrow quantity is the quantity attribute here. And notice there is no $sign here. The variable has the $sign, excuse me. The quantity here does not, because it's an attribute of this. Super weird. Super weird how that works. So the syntax is going to get you a couple times, so don't worry too much about it. For set quantity, if you are given a quantity, we will change the quantity to that quantity. For price, we'll do that. And same thing like in Java land. Our functions then, our public functions, allow us to set parameters and protect the integrity of our class. So we should be saying, hey, if the quantity is greater than 0, go do this thing. Otherwise, we'll set my this quantity, right? If you try and give me a negative value, I'm just going to say, let's put it to 0. A little format, format. Format, please. There we go. Okay, sorry. So doing a quick little sanity check, right? One of the jobs of a class is to encode these sort of integrity checks. You should not be allowed to use a public function that puts this class in an invalid state, right? I can't have a negative quantity. There's no physical way I can sell more of these things than I own or than I have in the store. I mean, sure, if you let people order things online and you don't do this well, you might have -1 of them, and where you owe somebody one. But let's pretend that doesn't happen, right? Because we'll pretend our inventory management system is decent, which is a whole other problem. I mean, we'll get there later. Don't worry too much about it. Okay, and then for set price, we're going to do the same sort of thing. You shouldn't probably give money to people who buy things. So let's make sure that our price then is positive. And, maybe possibly 0 is valid price. Like, hey, if there's some expired product here, maybe we can just give it away. And for $0, sure, why not? So I think 0 is probably valid here for price. Right? I think that's okay. So in our set functions here, then we're going to protect the integrity of our class with these sanity checks, this defensive coding idea here. Right? We know what it is. And now this colon void here is actually optional. It gets automatically put in for us, but you don't need to. It tells the caller of the function that it will return void specifically, rather than hey, like get price return something. So you still don't have a type here. You just return something, and they hope they get the correct value out. But that sort of thing. And then these functions too are going to kind of run into trouble here, right? If price is not numeric, weird stuff's going to happen. If I say hey, is it greater than 0? Right? So again, we're trusting people will pretty much give us the correct things. But now I have my sets and gets for quantity and price. For name and SKU, once your product has a SKU and it's on the shelf and it has a name, I really don't think those should change. Right? So in terms of what this class represents as an item, these things are immutable. They are not changeable. So we don't want set functions. So all we want is get functions here. I'm just going to add getters then for SKU and name. Whoa, friend, there we go. Okay, so now we can get the SKU and get the name out. Now, what that means is, if I go make an item, right, I have no way of setting the SKU and the name. So what I need is a constructor. I need a way to create an instance of this class and go set its values, right? So I'm going to insert a constructor here now for, and might as well take everything. So the constructor function is __ construct. I don't know why. That's what it is. So it's not the name of the class like it is in Java land. It's __ construct. This must be the name of the function here. Excuse me. And that's what you get when you use this new syntax. This calls the constructor, that construct method. Okay. Now, and when we're using the constructor, I don't want to set these things directly. I want to call my this set price given the price. And when I call my this set quantity given the quantity, right? I want to use those functions that do the sanity checking, that do that integrity checking for me. All right, I'm going to do them in the same order because it's going to bother me here. There we go. Okay, we'll set quantity and then we'll set price. Okay, so we have all of our gets, so we have the sets, the things that are changeable in our item class. So now we have a class that represents item that we can use everywhere else. Remember, the benefit of that is that now I can pass an item object, an instance of the item class, anywhere I need it. Right? And then I can make sure the methods work here as well. So what we're going to do then in our item model, we're going to include, oh my goodness, include it's item, item PHP. There we go. No, just item. I'm doing this wrong, friends. I'm doing this wrong. It has been that long. It has been that long. Yeah, include. Okay, sorry, the quotes. That's what I'm missing. Include quote item PHP. Okay, so now I can make instances of item. I can say, hey, here's my item equals a new item. and I can give it some attributes, right? I have to go find whatever attributes they want to be, but now I can use that class here. So far, my get items function here, it's getting the values out of the database. We're going to fetch all of them here, but we don't want to return this database two-dimensional array, because that's, honestly, it's a little bit funky to work with. And then when we go and use it in our view, we then have to just know the correct values, right? When I return that in my items view here, my item list view, I have to know that there's an attribute for SKU, an attribute for name, an attribute for quantity, an attribute for price. And then, right, this is error prone, right? So one of the benefits we get by using classes now instead here is going to be, it will make my life easier. I promise. So one of the things we can do then in our item model, once we have those items here, let me call this actually items result. Right, and then we'll close the cursor, sorry, close the database. Now what I want to do, I want to say for items result as item result, or maybe item row. How about that? How about that? Rows. I like that. Item rows. For item row as item row, not item ow. Did we do it wrong? Not as colon. My friends, it has been too long here since we were doing PHP code. My goodness. Oh, for each. Okay. All right. Told you, I'm having a rough time, friends. I'm having a rough time, but we'll get there. We'll get there. As item row. So what I want to do then, I want an array of values here. Right, I want to have a collection, an array of item objects here. So we want to make an array here that I can start adding things to. Then what I want to do is I want to make a new item given this value. So I'm going to have item equals new item given my item row index of SKU as the SKU, right? Then the item row index of the name for the name. The item row index of quantity for the quantity, right? I think it's quantity. Yeah, quantity and then price. And then the item row index of price as the price. Then I can take my items array and I can push. Push. Oh my goodness, friends. Oh, it's one of those days. I got nothing. I got nothing. I'm just going to go look because I don't remember the syntax. Ah, that's right, just square braces. Square braces, that's right. So then my items, square braces, is an item. Right, we'll add that item, we'll append it to our item array. Syntax here is crazy in PHP. Absolutely bonkers. And this part makes sense, so we're going to loop through our items, the item rows that we get back out, and then for each individual item row, then we'll get the SKU, name, quantity, and price, hand it to the item constructor, add that item to our collection here, and then we can return a collection of items using the objects themselves. Okay? Now what's really cool about this is in my item view here, then, my list items view, now for every item in items, I don't need to use the SKU attribute here. I can say get probably the item controller. I'm sorry, the item controller should require this. It requires the model, and the model requires it, so we should be fine here then, I think. Let's see. It's going to be get SKU here. Then we can do item get name, and we can do item get quantity, and item get price. So I can use the functions that exist. I don't need to know the key value pair keys out of that two-dimensional list here. So let's see. So I think that works here. So that was our get items then, right? In our item model. That should be require, right? How about require? Maybe that's better for us. Excuse me. You know what? Let's throw that. Might as well. Oh, that's fine in the model, isn't it? Doesn't matter one way or the other. It'll get required because we require the model. We'll require the other file too. We'll see how well that works. Okay. So we got those ones saved. Let's see if we can now list our items. We have the items list. Right? Nothing functionally looks different here. Uh-oh. Item to delete. That is the wrong thing. What were we doing with that item to delete? I think our code here is funny. Oh yeah, so that our item SKU select now is messed up. We can't take, I'm sorry, the item SKU here. We need the item get SKU function. And then we need the item get name function here, because now we have a collection of objects, not that two-dimensional list here. There we go. And now we get our better looking item to delete operations here. It didn't freak out on us and actually like crash. Which gave us some weird HTML. So by using those objects now, right, we get this really cool ability to use the public functions. And then we can add additional functionality if we want to that class that will do other things, right? It's not just a two-dimensional array, essentially, with a bunch of values in it. So in my item model, then what else can we do? So if I wanted to add an item, instead of adding the name, SKU, quantity, and price, I can say, hey, give me an item. Give me an instance of the item class here. And then it'll be item get SKU, right? And item get name. And item get quantity. And item get price. Okay, so when we add items then, right, when I call add item from my controller here, I'm going to make an item object here. So I need to, we're going to try, if those are good, okay, so I guess in our try block here, we can say, hey, I want an item equals a new item, given the SKU, the name, the quantity, and the price. Here, I can make that item object, then I can pass that to add item. We'll do the same thing for update item. We'll pass it the values. Okay, so in our item model here, update will do the same thing. Update item, given an item object here. I think we do the same bindings, right? So I'll just copy those four. We do the same bindings now, given an item. Now, I mean, for delete, we can do the same thing. We can even pass an item object to delete, where then we'll say item get SKU as well. So in our controller, then our item controller, where'd that one go? Here. So if we're going to go delete something, then we're going to make a new or item equals a new item. Now, the only thing we know is the SKU, right? These other properties don't really matter here. So I'm just going to give them some ugly values because we don't need any of them here. All we need is the item itself with the SKU. The name, value, and properties don't matter. We don't need to like go get anything back out. So this should be fine here. So we can put a little note, right? We know the other attributes don't matter. Just the SKU. Okay. So now all of our item stuff should work now using classes, using the item class itself. So let's go search for coffee. And we get coffee back out. Great, looking okay so far. Let's go add a new item. Let's add, say, let's do 10. How about just regular, what should we add here? We should add some ramen noodles. Ramen noodles, price 39 cents. oh no, sorry, quantity, we've got probably 100 of them, 39 cents. We just got restocked. Apparently ramen noodles are super hard to find in stores nowadays. We add an item, and now we see ramen noodles. We have 100 at 39 cents each. Let's go update, make sure that works too. Update SKU10. We should capitalize that, right? Ramen noodles. Let's say we sold some of them here, 39 cents each. Update, okay, they look like they updated okay. Let's go delete something. Let's go delete our ramen noodles, and it updated okay. Okay, so our operations are still all working here using the classes here in our model. So now our item model gets to just handle instances of the class with all of its attributes. Remember, what that's going to do for us, right, is I know if I have an instance of item, I have these methods. So typoing things, I mean, the type ahead was not ideal. It wasn't like suggesting all of these functions for us here, but as long as I get the function name right, it's going to work, right? If you were to get one of the keys wrong, trying to get stuff out of that two-dimensional array list, the database result, it would just fail quietly. Right? There would be no value, or it may be crashing us, and weird stuff would happen. So we get better functionality here using the class, and then if something needs to go change, I can update the item class, and I don't need to update 50 bazillion different places where I'm dealing with two-dimensional arrays. Right? I can either add a new function or add a new attribute or add all sorts of fun things here. So classes give us all sorts of good additional functionality, and this is a more proper way of modeling things in programming land, right? We consider this as sort of like an object relational mapper. Like the database stores things one way, our code needs to deal with things as objects because we like object-oriented programming because it makes life easier for us, a little easier to understand and to follow along, right? Because we deal with objects all the time in an object-oriented way in the real world. So coding with objects makes life easy for us. Encode methods. Yep, good. So I'm making sure we're covering all the things we need. Yeah, that's probably fine. And you can do the same thing with static values. We're not going to care too much about that. All right, cool. I think we got through, and then you can follow the object chapter if you want and see what they did with their example. Cloning and comparing is kind of interesting. Probably a little bit beyond the scope of this here, but you can so to make sure that your equality checks, like an equals works, you have to do certain things. So you just gotta be a little bit careful with that. Let's see. Objects, cool. Let's see. You can even check to make sure it is an object. We're not going to deal with anything inheritance-wise. You can do all the inheritance that you want with classes as well. You can do abstract classes, probably more things than we got into, depending on how far you got in your prereq classes here. So all sorts of really cool things you can work with. So I don't think we're going to do a whole quiz on the chapter because we're not really getting super deep into the rest of the object-oriented fundamentals. We're just going to get to the classes level. We're not going to deal with the inheritance or abstract or interfaces. It's good stuff, and it's worth knowing that it exists in PHP land, but if you need it, you can go look it up. I think is probably a good approach for that. Okay? This one feel okay? So what we're going to do then for our final PHP project is we're going to classify the rest of our classes here. So the rest of our models we need to go and turn into classes. Right, so we need a customer class, we need a line item class, we need a transaction class then, which is pretty cool. So we'll go work on that. So that'll be the assignment there then. So let me grab, where did they go? There's D2L. So we'll add a new project. We'll have 2 weeks to work on that one. It'll be due on the 24th at 6 p.m. Oh, I'm getting sore here too. Oh, but I wanted to know how many points was that on? I forget now. Let's go see. Let's go see. This is project 2, store classes. So you'll turn in your URL. So submit the URL to your feedback pull request along with a self-assessment using the rubric. Okay, all right, where do we go here? Assignments. Project 1, let me edit this one here, see how many points it was worth. I need the PHP page, I need this on here. It was 10 points, we'll do 10 more points here. So we're going to update the store from project 1 to use classes in all of the models and views. Okay, so we still had a couple more to update here, so we'll just make a new rubric here for project 2, and we'll go along. Suppose project 2. So missing or complete. So we needed to change a couple things. So I did item for you. So you're going to go do customer, you're going to do line items, and you're going to do transactions. That's 3 more there. I want like 3 1/3, but that's not going to work out right. That's okay. So let's do customer class is used in controller model and views, controller models and views, customer class, the transaction class, and the line item class. Supposed to be 3 points each. And then what's your 10th point here? So just make it let's do this. How about we make them 4 points each? Why not? Because you have to update the model, you have to make the class file, you have to update the model file, you have to update the views file, you have to update the controller. Right? Class is created and used. Okay. I like that. Created and used. So we'll make this 12 points. So 1 point for each of those then, essentially. Okay? Do 12 total. 1 point for the class, 1 point for using the class in the controller, 1 point for using the class in the models, and 1 point for using the class in the views. Okay? So for each of the remaining 3. That sound like a plan for what we're going to do in the next 2 weeks? Sorry, what's wrong with me? What are you telling me, Mr. Insulin Pump? All right, you're beeping at me, but you don't want to do anything. It's confused, I think. I probably should charge it, though. It's real bad if this thing runs out of batteries and I can't get insulin anymore. So, definitely is a good thing to keep charged. 1 second, sorry. All right, do you want to take another break right now? Take 5 minutes before we switch gears? Just do another 5-minute break? Would that work? And then we'll move on to secure websites. Sure, okay, sounds good. So let's do that. We'll put some music back on. We'll take, is 5 good, or do you want, I think 5 is probably enough. I don't think we need 10, right? So I'll put us out to 7:07. And we'll be back in a couple minutes, folks. Howdy folks, welcome back. Alright, I've realized I forgot to do the GitHub Classroom link for a new repository for you. So I went and did that real fast, pasted that one in, so that'll set up a new repository for you to keep stuff separate for your project if you want. If you just keep working in the previous repository, I can probably keep it straight. I'm not too concerned, but you know, either way, as long as you get it to github.com, I can probably figure it out from there. So just let me know. All right, so now we're going to talk about basic authentication, or secure websites and authentication, and then our lab will be dealing with that. Okay, so you'll pretty much, this is another follow along kind of lab where I'll set it up in the store, and then you guys can copy off of that for your lab. Okay, so one of the things that we've been doing so far, right, is we've only been using this first port here. I'm using 5080 is the unsecured connection. Notice we also have 443. So when you go and let's say like our PHP MyAdmin page here, I can change my port number here and say I want HTTPS HTTPS is the secure version of HTTP using TLS security, transport level security. Fantastic. And we get a warning though saying, hey, it's not valid. Right? If you go to a website and you get this cert not valid warning, it's usually a bad thing. Right? It means they're not who they say they are, or you can't know that who they are who you say they are. Like if you just go, let's go out to like Bing here. Again, I prefer Bing to Google because Bing will at least pay me to use my personal information. And you get points, and I get lots of free coffee. Eventually, I get free coffees and stuff. Maybe not lots, but more than Google. Now, I've got a little site secure link here, and again, depending on your browser, this will look a little bit different, but they all do the same thing here. You see, the connection is secure, and it says our site has a valid certificate issued by a trusted authority. That's not it. How do we see the certificate? Hang on. There's a way to do it. Come on. Come on. Load, friend. Let's see. Where did it go here? I think, do I need to open up DevTools maybe? I think I know I need DevTools open. Try to open up my DevTools. Come on, DevTools. Friends, what is going on here? All right, you know what, forget it. We'll do it in Firefox. It should work in Firefox. I don't know why it's being so cranky right now. Bing, notice it automatically goes to the secure Bing, not HTTP. Here's the site connection secure. More information. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. So in the security section, I want to view the certificate. This certificate here is the basis of our web security. So we use public and private key encryption, which is super cool. So there's some really neat math we'll talk about here in a minute. So what happens is any of these names here are all Microsoft, and they will use the same certificate here. And we say we trust this certificate. So this certificate was issued to them. So we say if they have it, we trust that they are the rightful owner of it, which is interesting. There's another piece to it here. So where is it here? It was issued by Baltimore Cybertrust Root. So Baltimore Cybertrust Root is a root certificate authority that we trust. Now your computer gets loaded with a bunch of these things. So if you look up certificates here, certificate, I want to manage the computer certificates. And in Windows, I don't exactly know where it's stored in Macland, but it does the same sort of thing here. So there's a bunch of known organizations that we trust as what we'll call root certificate authorities. And we say, if they issue someone a certificate, we'll trust it. So you have all sorts of these different certificate stores. So we want the trusted root certificate authorities. So all of these organizations here are trusted root certificate authorities here. So here's that Baltimore Cybertrust Root. So this is the certificate from Baltimore that says, okay, if they issue someone a certificate, we'll trust that they've given it to the right person. And there's policies and procedures around being a certificate authority and what you have to do to give people certificates and those sorts of fun things, and how you know who they are that they say they are, and all sorts of fun stuff here. So we'll say, okay, sure, it comes from them, we trust them, what's good, we'll use their certificate. What then happens here, so where's Microsoft Word? Oh, I'm in the wrong page here. Give me a second. Let me throw this on the other screen. There we go. So when we go from our computer here, right, this is us with our little laptop here, right? And here's a little web browser here with a little X and then, so think, sure. We go send a request out to the web, somewhere out here in the cloud, the fluffy cloud. We send a request out and we eventually go hit a web server here. So I say, hey, I want to go to bing.com. Okay, it goes out in the cloud. This uses the domain name service, DNS service. So DNS says, oh, you want bing.com. What is the IP address of that? Again, this is a whole networking thing, no problem. We'll get an IP address. Then we actually then go send the request to that IP address. The server says, oh, hey, this is my IP, this is me. I'll send you a request back through the cloud, right? The cloud internet, sure, sort of thing here. When we get a response from them, this one here, my goodness, I can't click the right buttons, friends. When we get a response from them, we get some information from the certificate here. Oh goodness, let me close that. I don't want Slack. Not right now. When you get a certificate, you get two pieces here. This is again, the fundamentals. This is public and private key encryption. This is also RSA encryption. Is considered asymmetric encryption. Most of this is not all that super important, but it is just know that it sort of exists and there's a process for this. You don't need to know too many of the details, but we need to kind of understand this is how the internet functions here. So with symmetric encryption, you need to know the code and I need to know the code. Hey, so you can imagine that being difficult in internet land where I don't know you and you don't know me. So there's no way that we can get a symmetric code that we can share to encrypt our communications. It doesn't work like that, right? It can't happen. Because if I send you the code, then anyone else on the internet can go get that code and they can listen in, right? Any piece of that network traffic that goes from wherever I am to wherever that goes to, right? So if you do, let me fire up terminal here. The Windows terminal, it's fantastic. Again, more networking stuff, but it's super interesting, super fun. If you do a trace route, trace RT, I think it is, for Bing.com, we'll see all of the steps, all the places my packet has to go to get there. So we're sending it to Bing 13.107.21.200. First it's going to Comcast here. That's the Comcast gateway. This is my local network here. From there it goes to 96.120.41.237, whatever that is. We'll have to go look these up after. Then it goes to this one here. Then it goes to this one here. And it goes to this one here. Sure, why not? Then it goes to Comcast Business, sure. So it must be bouncing around Comcast for a little while. Gets out to Comcast Business. Their gateway, their router, sending it out somewhere. Uh-oh, timed out there. That's weird. Shouldn't have timed out. There we go. Now to 13.104. I don't know, that's probably somewhere at Microsoft, right? Because it hasn't got to their particular Bing server yet. Notice Comcast is bad at this sort of thing. I get some weird timeouts with Comcast. Not been the most happy with their internet service, but we're relatively limited here, unfortunately. Let's see. Maybe. It might actually be blocked here. So some organizational security policies don't let you do trace routes inside. Oh no, okay, it's going. It's going. That's weird. Okay, so it got from here then to the Bing server response, finally. So we can see all these different steps. So I would have to pass that key along all of these paths, and if there was any malicious actor at any one of these points monitoring the traffic, they could go and find out what my key was for our encrypted communication. So symmetric encryption isn't going to work here. So what asymmetric encryption does, using this public and private key encryption here, is you get a really, 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 really big set of prime numbers here. So when I say really big, I mean really big. So this key here, this cert here, where is it? It is 2048 bit key. So that's 2 to the 2048. I have no idea what number that is. 2 to the 2048. That's 616 digits in size. Actually, 617, right? Because it's 3 times that. Okay, so there I get 2 prime numbers with somewhere between 0 and 617 digits. That's really, really big, okay? So this idea is that you will find all sorts of possible prime numbers here in this range here. So how many prime numbers are in here we go, Stack Overflow. Can roughly estimate. So there are 2 to the, and this is only 150 digits long here. So we have more than that. So we're looking at even more bits here, right, which is crazy. This was at 512 and we're at 2048. So 2.8 with 147 zeros after it, number of prime numbers, and you need 2 of them. Right, so the number of combinations of that is just mind-bogglingly large, okay? And that's the mathematical foundation that our encryption relies on. So the idea is if you can get a really, really, really big prime number and another really, really, really big prime number, and no one else knows what they are, right? You get 2 really big primes. So somewhere between, what do we say? How many digits was that going to be? Between this one here, yeah, 617 digits long. So you get 2 really big primes, and that's big primes here. The reason why they need to be prime numbers is another math thing. Don't worry too much about it here. But what you do with those 2 numbers is you generate another number. I know this sounds super crazy here, but the 2 primes essentially become your private key. Okay? What you're going to do with that is you're going to generate a public key using those 2, using some mathematical formula. I think you subtract 1 and you take some factors. It's been a little while since I looked at it here. I bet we could Google it here. This is super interesting, right? It works. Comparatech, HackerNoon, I don't know, Doctrina, Wikipedia. Why not Wikipedia? They've got to be good, right? Probably a better link. Yes, so here it is. So this is the algorithm here. So your positive numbers, E, D, and N here. So M to the E to the D is equal to M mod N. I don't know. There's 3 PhDs who came up with this here. And that's their R, S, and A are their initials. It should say, yeah. Ron Rivest, D, and Leonard from MIT. Okay, they came up with this. So here we go. Here's the steps. This is perfect. Let me zoom this in a little bit. Sorry, that's a little small here. You get 2 prime numbers, P and Q, randomly chosen, cryptographically securely random. You compute N as P times Q. So multiply them together, great. N is now the modulus for both public and private keys. Okay. I don't know what this thing is here. Something's kept secret. You choose an integer E. Sure. I don't know what any of this stuff means. It's been quite a while here. And now your public key is the modulus N and the public exponent E. The private key is the exponent D, P, Q, and this function of N here. Where is this here? Yeah, so P minus 1 times Q minus 1. There we go. Something like that. So all sorts of crazy math. I'm sorry, I'm losing you folks. This is probably not all that interesting here. But what you do then is, if you know what Alice's public key is, you can encrypt a message with the public key. So if you take a message here, let me put in a new page here. So if you take some sort of message here, so here's your letter here, right, your little envelope, and this is Eric, and I want to send the letter here to Dr. Baugh. U-G-H, sure. I can send the letter over to him. Okay, if I encrypt this message with Dr. Baugh's public key, I take his public key and I encrypt the message. Now it gets all garbled and garbled and garbled. The only person who can decrypt it is the person with the private key. So this is the public key. He has the private key. So I can send him a message that he can then decrypt to turn back into the original message using the private key. So what happens here with our websites here in this little cloud thing, Bing.com has this certificate. The certificate has two parts. It has the public key and the private key. The public key is published. It's public. It's meant to be publicly consumed. So the public key, right, is known out here that I can find, and they hold the private key. Now, the other cool thing with asymmetric encryption is, how do I know that Dr. Baugh is actually Dr. Baugh? Right? What he can do, I'll say, hey, Dr. Baugh, I want to send you a message. Prove to me that you are actually Dr. Baugh. So, oh, my goodness, there, draw. So Eric says, prove you are Dr. JP. Okay? And Dr. Baugh says, okay, I will send you a message encrypted with the private key. He says, okay, you can go find my public key. You can look up Dr. Baugh in the directory and find his public key. So his public key is accessible. It's published, right? I can find his key. So he says, I will encrypt a message using the private key. If it's actually the private key, it will be decryptable with the public key. So he takes a little message here. It says, I am Dr. JP. He encrypts it with the private key. How do I draw a little key here, right? A little key, like some jaggedy little teeth on it there. That's a key. With his private key. So when I get the message here, I take his public key from up here, right, his little public key that says, hey, I am who I say I am, and I can decrypt the message. And it says, hi. Sure, whatever that message is. The private key can be decrypted with the public key. The public key can be decrypted with the private key because it's asymmetric. So one key decrypts the other. So then I know that he is Dr. Baugh because I know he has access to the private key. So the only thing that trusting a certificate does for you is saying, okay, I know that you have access to the private key. That's all it does for you. That doesn't mean they're not a malicious person. Right? Malicious people, scammers, can get private keys and public keys. They can have public and private key pairs. There's no rule against that. Hopefully they get reported and then their keys get taken down. But they can, ouch, ooh, ouch, there goes my pump. That was no good. Ouch. So their public and private keys are still out there on scammers' sites and things. Come on, all right, 70%. It's almost done charging. Maybe I'll put it up here so it doesn't fall. So then after that happens now, I'll say, okay, you have the key, right, check, it checks out. Now I'll take my message, what I want to say to him, and I'll encrypt it with his public key. And I'll send it over to him. And Dr. JP says, okay, cool, I'm going to take my private key and decrypt this message, and he'll read my message and says, hi, or whatever I wanted to say to him. Right? So you can use public and private key encryption. Now the problem with this is it's really slow, right? So if we were to imagine a clock here, right, it's slow. That's a clock, right? It's a slow process. So what we do in internet land here with this public and private key stuff here, again, I say, hey Bing, I want to send a connection, I want to send a message to you, prove to me you're Bing. So Bing sends me back a message, right, using the private key, encrypted by the private key. So this is the private encrypted. Says, okay, we decrypt with public. Decrypt with public. We say, great. Then what we do is we say, okay, here's a symmetric key. Please use this for the rest of our communication here. So that now we get a symmetric key that I will encrypt using the public key. So I take the public key and I encrypt this symmetric key that I want them to use the rest of the time, because symmetric keys are faster, right? Symmetric keys are really quick because it's the same encrypt and decrypt for both things, for both sides. So we both use the same key for encryption and decryption, and the math is faster. Okay, so we actually negotiate a symmetric key using the asymmetric public and private key system, or PKI, public key infrastructure. Holy cow, all of that nonsense, right? Because it works, right? And that way, when you go to somebody's website, if they have access to the private key, we generally trust they are who they say they are, because they have access to it. And you put all sorts of security around your private key. You don't want people to get your private key if they're not you. Okay? Because that's no good. That being said, we don't have a public key, or we don't have a public-private key issued by a trusted root certificate authority. So we're not going to do any actual encrypted stuff here. We're not going to go to our websites on a secured connection. So if I run my store site here, I'm not going to go to HTTPS localhost because it says not secure. I don't know, so it's localhost. The cert for localhost is not trusted by my computer's operating system. It shouldn't trust something called localhost. It has no idea what it is. I can continue it there anyway, and it gives me some warnings, not secure sort of things, but generally this is bad. Okay? All of this to be said, once you're using a secure connection, the TLS process, the transport layer security, negotiates using public-private key infrastructure, a symmetric key that we can use for that session because it's fast. So anything connected over HTTPS will be encrypted and should be impossible for an eavesdropper to listen in on our conversation. Now, all of this being said, there's this theory out here. So this quantum supremacy something or other. What do they call it? Supremacy RSA encryption. Is that at some point, quantum computers, look at that, here we go, are going to be able to break the encryption even of 2040-bit RSA encryption, because quantum computers are ridiculously nuts. I don't even know how they work, honestly. It confuses I've watched videos and things and it still hurts my head. I have no idea. So, all that being said, saying currently we can't break it and we should trust that our secure connections are in fact secure. What that doesn't mean is that someone can't record our secure connections, record all that traffic that's being passed to the internet, and then at some point break it in the future. Today they likely can't break it. But in the future, at some point, we think, and our security experts think, this will be breakable, which is crazy to think about. Okay, so currently secure, yes. In the future, fuzzy, likely unsecure, and we'll have hopefully more people with PhDs in mathematics can come up with a better secure process for doing this sort of thing that is not breakable. And honestly, that math is way over my head. Because sure, why not? Okay, we all right so far? Maybe. That was just the overview. I apologize, but we had to do all of that for this next step. That next step is, if you go to a website and it wants you to log in, if it's not a secure connection, don't do it, because you're going to send your username and password over plain text, over clear text, and anybody listening in that traffic can find your username and password. Right? It's no good. It's no good at all. Here we go. Yeah, encryption and decryption. There we go. Perfect. So yeah, here's the math right here. Look at that. You can follow along if you want to do the math. So if you have P and Q of 61 and 93, or 53, your N will be 3,233. Find this, whatever quotient here, find the largest common something or other is 780. They'll find a number between 0 and 1, that is co-prime to 780. Sure. Which is, E is not a divisor of 780, but is a prime number. So 17. Now we get a modular multiplicative inverse of this. It's 413. Right? 17 times 413 mod 780 is 1. Right? Because 780 was the mod. So we need to find what number do we multiply by this prime number here. So then our public key is 3233 and E is 17. Our private key is this and 417. So if you take some message here, you can take the message to the power of E mod n to get the message out. To decrypt that, you take the ciphertext here, raise it to the power of D mod n, and we get the same result back out, which is super cool, right? So we get back to 65. So if we're encrypting the message of 65, we get it back out, and it works both directions, which is super cool. Sorry, I nerd out on stuff like this. I think that's super interesting. And it's really the fundamental underpinnings of the entire internet here is how this works. So I mean, it is actually important stuff, not just nerd fest. But I've lost all of you folks. I'm sorry. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back here. So in real world stuff, what that means then is if we want somebody to log into our website here, right? We want them to log in. So let's go on our index page here. And let's, should we build a login page? Let's build a login page. So let's add a new login controller. So we'll add a new login file here. And again, I'm going to go purely copy off our book here, because this is, again, making sure we figure out how things work and the syntax of things. There's cool things you can do to automatically redirect to a secure site if you want. We're not going to do that because we're not actually using secure sites, so don't worry too much about that right now. Not too big of a deal here. But let's see what we want here. Yes. Okay, so we want to log in. Yeah, so we're going to make our login page here. I guess that's actually a view we could have, not just the controller there. So I guess that should be a view. So let's add a login view. So a view for login that actually has the form for them to log in on our page here, right? So let's see, we want, oh, where'd it go? I'm sorry, I'm finding it in here. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I'm sorry, I'm losing it here. Where am I? I'm trying to copy off of this so we do it the same way. It's not working. My friends. That's fine. So we'll just make a form here. That's fine. We'll put a form in here. So on the login page, right, we need a form. So let's go grab a form off of one of these here. Make a little form. On our login page, we'll have the form. We want to send it to login.php. And we want to post. Right? If it goes with get, the password then will be in that text, which is no good. So we want username, and this is username. And then we want a input for password. And there's actually a type here, which is cool. With modern HTML, if you make it a password type here, it will automatically hide the typing, which is super cool. And then we'll even give them a button for it here. This is login. Okay, so we'll just throw this page out here for now. We'll see if it's going to go. So if we go to /views/login.php, we should get a login form. And test, right? See, it as a password field, it blanks it out here, and then I have the option to show it, which is really nice. So this is a really cool feature here. We can go to login. Oh, that didn't take us to, did I not actually save it? Action. Did I do the wrong thing? I did the wrong thing. No, it should take me back to my controller. Oh, okay, so I haven't included that here. So we need the login controller then. We're going to, let's go and get some values out first. So we'll check and see. They should always be posted here. So we're going to go get the value out of, so this is username, and password is password. Password is the password. And we can say if username equals nothing, right? Or password equals nothing. Then we want to include the view. So we want to include the views login.php. Right. So if they haven't tried to log in here, let's include the view. Okay. Otherwise, then we'll just have else. For now, let's just be silly here. We'll just echo the username for fun, so that we'll at least have something showing here. Okay. So back on then my main page, I should be able to go to a login.php controller. Here, this is the controller. It's included the view here. So we go test and test, go to login, and now it goes back, it posts here, right, with the username and password. Now, we're not doing this over a secure connection, which again is no good here. So if I go back a second here, and we turn on DevTools, there's DevTools. What? Why was this not showing up here again? It's super weird. Let's go to the network connection. We'll go test and test, right? We are sending the username and password in plain text here in our post request. Now, it's still plain text when it's HTTPS, but you're sending it in a secured manner in that anyone along that network path can't read it because it's encrypted. Currently encrypted, right? Given that whole fun stuff there. Okay, so we want to post there to do this. Then what we want to do here, now we actually want to see if they are the correct user, right? And there's a couple things when we deal with passwords here. We want to never store the actual password. That's a really, really, really bad practice. What you want to do is you want to store a hashed version of the password. A hash is considered a one-way encryption. If you hash a value, there is no way to get the original back out. Right? So it's not encryption where you can encrypt and decrypt. It's one way, it's hashing. So we're going to take whatever their password is and we're just going to mangle it up to look like nonsense here. Now to do that, there are great algorithms built into PHP. Okay, so then I'm going to echo a BR here, and then we'll echo, there's a function called password hash given the password. You can also give it this other thing here. Don't worry too much about it. We'll probably be fine. So we can give it the default if we want here, which is this password default, which is going to say if there's no algorithm, we're going to use the default one here. Okay. So we'll generate a hash for their password, which is a one-way encryption. So one more time, if we do test. Now, anytime I give it the word test, it's going to hash the exact same way. Nope. What just happened here? What happened? I'm super confused now. what did we do wrong here? Huh. Okay. Sorry. So there is one other step here. So just a straight hash function then is one level of security here. But if I know what version of hashing you're doing, right, because it's public, everyone has PHP out there, what someone could do is say, hey, I'm going to take the entire dictionary and I'm going to hash every word of the dictionary. And then I can see, right, so if I am able to break into the system and see what your password is, right, I can then compare this to all of the hashes that I did for all the words in the dictionary, and I can see if they match. So it's still one way. I didn't decrypt it, but what I did is I hashed every single possible word out there, or combination, right? You know, word and the number one, capital letter here, number one, all sorts of things. There is a limited set here that people can actually go and do and build essentially a password hash dictionary. So one of the things we do to prevent that is there's additional pieces of information that get included in the hash, which is called a salt. So if I want to avoid being able to have people do, this is what's called a dictionary attack here, where if I know, hey, this is the hash, right? We take test and we put it in here, put it through the hash, we get back out, 1, 2, 3, 4 every time, right? Someone else can then just go through every possible word and see, okay, what comes up with the 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we're going to do, we're going to take test, and we're going to add a thing called salt here, and then we will hash it, and we'll get another value. Okay? So using that salt makes it a little safer, because then they have to try every single possible salt, and it's really hard to get that sort of dictionary attack now unless they know what salt I used here, which is tough. Okay. So I can get out that particular value here of whatever that password hash is, and then we can say, hey, I want the, we'll save this here. So we'll say, here's the hash is equal to the password hash of that, and then we'll echo the hash. And then we're going to try the paired function. So this is password hash. There's a password verify. So it's called password verify, given the string that we were given. So we're going to check, hey, does the password match the hash that I expected it to get? And we'll echo br, and then we'll echo verify. I think it's a true or false result, I think, is what we get there. We'll see. We'll say hash. Let's be username. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I don't even need to do the appending, right? Hash and verify. There we go. Okay, let's give that a shot. So we'll go back to our password page and refresh. So the username's test. Here's the hash. Verify 1 is true, right? So we verified it does work properly. And even though it's changing here, it's verifying properly. However that works behind the scenes is super cool. I don't know what it's figuring out for salt, but it works. So what we do then is we're going to go to our PHP myadmin page, myadmin, and we're going to go update that users table to make it a way to log in as a particular user, or like an administrator, perhaps. Maybe we can figure out what we want to do for the store. Let's see what we get. So we could give customers a way to log in if they wanted. Maybe that might be fun. Or we can just have like an admin login here. How about we do that? We'll just have an admin login. So we can have a new table here. Let's make a table. So we want a ID that auto increments. This is just the ID here. We want that to auto increment. It'll be the primary key for us. We want that to be easy here. And then I want to track their, how about username as a variable number of characters. Varchar, probably like 50. I don't know. There's some sort of sane limit here. And then we want the password hash to be stored. I don't want to call it password because I want to remind myself there should always be a hash here. And then varchar, this one needs to be really big. So we're going to do like 255. Remember, those get hashed to get really big strings here. Okay, and that's all we need. So we have a username, we have a password hash, we have their ID. Oops, sorry, this is admin. Maybe we should have called it users, I guess, but that's fine. We can do all sorts of other things later. Okay, so for this particular admin then, we'll have a username, we'll have a password hash. Okay, so let's go and manually add this here for a second, which is a little bit ugly, but that's okay. I'll take this value here, which should be the hash of the password test. So let's go add data to this one here. So let's insert test and that big ugly hash. Okay, so we insert it in. So we're storing the hash of their password. Okay, so we know what all those usernames and passwords are. So now we'll hash their password. Then we need to go get some data out of the database. So let's go add a login model. Login model here. And again, we're just going to kind of copy off some of these. So let's, ooh, that's right. So login should then go do the required database. Our login controller then. We will require the database and we'll require the login model. Okay. Then in our login model, then we can go get our database object out, right, with this global database. So we want a function for, this is what, check password maybe? Check password, given a password, or username and a password. Okay, so first we need to see if there's a user that exists there. Right, so we need to write our query for, hey, is there a user here? So we're going to essentially select here, execute, fetch. Hey, what's up? That's going to be a while. Okay. A couple minutes? All right. All right, so we'll go grab this. We'll throw this in. So we want to select star from user, right? Where username equal to our colon username. And then we'll go set up our statement, prepare it, we'll bind our value. We want to bind username to $username. Oh, the global database thing, I forgot that step. Where's it? Global database, there we go. We'll get the database, global variable, we'll set up our query, select star from user, where the username is the username, bind it, great, so we get all that information out. We want the, how about the, and really we only want a single fetch. There should only be one user here. So actually, how about our, let's fix up our table. Let's make our table a little cleaner here. I'm a little sad that this PHP myadmin table here. Let's go back, let's change this up. And let's actually go, let's get rid of the ID here. Drop the ID. And then we want this one to be the primary key. So let's make username the primary key. So username must be unique. If you try and add a new username, it's going to fail on you real hard, real fast. It's not, okay, you know what? Okay, that was wrong. We shouldn't do that. My mistake. Let's go change it here. The problem with that, you know what, it'll be fine. So the problem with that is everywhere I need to reference a user now, I need to store their entire varchar which is a lot more information to store in the database rather than an integer for ID. It'll be fine. So probably a more proper database term would just be, you can set a unique constraint on username. I think we can do that, right? Can we do that? I think we can do that. So let's change username. Oh, there was unique. Okay, there's the button for me. Let's go back and do that. So we'll go back to the structure. We want to not make it the primary key. No, we want to add. So let's add a one column beginning of the table for ID. We'll go back and do that. We'll call it ID. Make it auto increment. I'm changing my mind here. I'm sorry, because we wanted to be able to do IDs because that just works so much better. Multiple primary keys defined. Oh goodness. All right, forget it. Forget it. Oh, awful. We'll just drop the whole table. Let me just delete the whole table. We'll delete the whole table and recreate it. I'm sorry, I messed that up. I got too excited. We'll drop the table. We'll make a new table here. Create table user. I forgot we could just do that unique thing. I'm sorry. So ID, username, and password hash. This is a varchar of, I don't know, like say 50, and this is a varchar, we'll say 255, and this one will auto increment. And then I think, where was it here? There was a way to make it unique, but okay, I don't see it at the moment. We'll go make it first, and then we'll go add it. Okay, and then in the user table, oh, whoa, what just happened? I lost the menu. Where'd it go? No, go back. Oops. PHP. Not the routes. No, I don't want that. Just give me the page. There we go. I don't know what happened there. Oh, I think did I close it somehow? Click the little hide button here. Go to our user table. I want to make sure that's unique because you don't want to have more than one user with the same username. Bad stuff will happen. So with username, then we want to make unique. There we go. All right, so it adds the unique constraint. Happy, finally. Okay, now we're happy again. So we'll go fetch just a single user out here. Right, a single row here. We'll close the cursor. Okay, and then we can say, what was it? If, is it length? How do we get the length? And that's a single row. Shoot. How do we do that before? We checked. That's fine. We'll fetch all. And then if length, isn't it length? Let's go look what we did with arrays here. How do we get the length out? Array key exists. Thought we did a thing where we checked the length, didn't we? All right, I forget. We'll just go Google. PHP check length array. Ah, the count function. Count. That's what it is. So if count of user equals 0, we're going to return false because there was no user with that username. Right? Otherwise, then we can check the hash. Right? We can then return the hash. Password verify. Password verify. Given this should be the password hash here, right? Password hash and the user result index of 0 password hash field, and that will give us back a true or false here. So go get the first row out because we know there's a row, right? Index of 0, that's the first row. Password hash. So it should be able to check the password here, or maybe is password valid? Or how about does user exist? User exist, and check hash. I don't know. We can come up with something fun, whatever. So we go to our login controller, then we'll get the hash back out, and then we can see if it actually worked here or not. Okay. Given the username and the password. And for now, we're just going to echo again real quick. We'll see what we get back out. Should be a 1 if it works. Okay, so we need then to go add this back in here. So we need to copy this again. We need to go insert some data because I was dumb and took it out. So username of test, password hash here. Great, we'll go add that data. So let's go see if it works. Right, let's go back to our project here. Go to our login page. Here's username, password test. Go to login. Oh, goodness. Oh, we forgot to include that model. That's why. So require, oh, I thought we called it the login model. PHP. Login model. Should be there, right? Maybe it didn't finish updating. Try it one more time. There. Oh, username store. Why is the username store? That's not what we gave it, was it? I gave it username password. What do we do here, friends? What do we do here? So let's check our login controller. The login controller. Said, okay, we'll echo the username. We'll get the hash. How do we get store? I'm super confused. Username and password. Let's try it one more time. Let's go test and test. Username store. All right, that doesn't seem right. That isn't. So let's put a breakpoint in here. Let's see if we can debug this. Breakpoint. Run in the debug mode. Go back. Come on, add that breakpoint. Toggle breakpoint. Why does it? Breakpoint. Toggle breakpoint. No. It's not giving me a breakpoint, friends. Goodness. It's not breaking. Nope. Debug. Toggle breakpoint. Why is it not? Control F8. Not giving me a breakpoint. That is crazy, friends. Super crazy. Login.php. Okay, we got here. I want the breakpoint. NetBeans, you're killing me. What's up with this? Should echo, does the username exist? The database, go query it. Can we put a breakpoint in here? Okay, we can put a breakpoint here. That's super weird, but sure. Why not? Test and test. Go log in. All right, I caught it here. Okay, so we got the database. We're in select star from user. There our query, bind username, execute, fetch all, close the cursor. And we should be able to see then, right, user. Oh, that's empty. We're returning false. Uh-oh, where username. Isn't it username? Isn't that what our username? Turned false. Oh. Test was the username. Yeah, we had a test username. What did we do wrong, friends? Try one more time, I guess. Refresh. Okay, and paused here. Yeah. Username is store. Where are we getting store from? Where are we getting store from? And the input post is username. Well, that would explain why it's not working. Do we screw something up? PHP. PHP username variable. I wonder if there's some other variable name we're not getting here. This looks like it here. Come on, Stack Overflow. Look at the active user. It is 29. Yeah, so our username is store for the login. That's what happened. Thank you. Thank you. The database has a username. Goodness gracious. Good catch. Good catch there, my friend. Thank you. That's what we're doing wrong. Sure. What do we do? All right, how about user name? We'll put an underscore there. Why not? Why not, friends? We'll put it everywhere. Put it everywhere because why? Blah. Okay. There we go. There we go. There we go. Let's rock on. Item shop. Let's go log in. Test and test. Log in. We're successful! 29, you get some bonus points there, my friend. Very super exciting. Bonus points for 29. Let's see. Yes! All right. Nightbot is tracking those bonus points for us here. No big deal. Don't worry. They don't mean anything. Sorry. It's like, whose line is it anyway? All right. So it's 8:05. I've been talking for a while. Why don't we take another break? We got more coming up here with users and login, and then once we're logged in, right, as an admin, securing these sorts of things here, and we can go from there. Okay, folks? So why don't we take 10? I'm going to go get a little snack here. You guys get some coffee, and we'll pick it back up in a little bit, okay? (8:16). I'll see you then. Hey everybody, welcome on back. All right. So I think we'll actually push off Java to next week. I don't think we need to necessarily intro it right now, so we should be okay with that. So we need to finish up. Now that we know we can log in, what do we do with it? So this is where it gets really fun. So we are going to actually store some information in a session. So when you connect to the web server, it actually starts a session here that will track information about this particular connection back and forth with these communications here. So what we want to do then is we want on the login page, we need to it should be fine. It should be fine. So we want to start the session. So we call session start. So this says, okay, I want to start tracking all sorts of information here in the session. Then what I can do is once we log in, right, so we can say if the does user exist and check password hash thing, if that's true, I can take this session variable here and I can add a new key value pair. Say is logged in as admin. How about that? Is logged in as admin. We'll say is true. Okay. So if the user exists and the password matches, we'll add this session value of is logged in as admin is true. Okay. Then we can also now have, we should include in here, so if they did give us a username and password, they can do that. They can get logged in. But maybe we also want some sort of other action, right, or some other possibility here. Let's see. So we want to be able to do a log out. So let's add get an action here. Let's do this. Say, hey, let's look for a particular action. So, no, not, oh goodness. Where do you want to check this first? Let's see if there's an action. So if the action then, our default then will be log in for the action here. We go to log in. Otherwise, we can go get a particular like log out message here. So we can look and see, we can say, hey, if the action is equal to log out. To log out, then you take this session value, the session variable, and you want to set it to an empty array. This gets rid of anything that was referenced there, and then you can call session destroy to finish the session here. Right, so on logout, we'll log them all the way out, and then, hey, what's up? You need to log in? Should work. If not, let me know. Okay. So we'll see if they want to log out, right? We'll get rid of all of that, and then we can put them right back at the login page because there's no username and password. Should be perfectly fine. If they don't want to log out, right? If there is no username and password, we probably should see if they're already logged in or not. Right? Because we don't want to give them the login page if they're already logged in. Right? We should check that first. We can say, hey, if this is set, then session of is logged in as admin. Sorry, this is getting too large here on the debugger screen. So if it's set, right, then we don't need to give them the login page. That can be else if, right? I don't know, maybe we just echo. So maybe we should also set a session here for username equals the username. Maybe we can say welcome session username. Oh goodness, that's getting ugly there, isn't it? Does that not fit? That doesn't fit. That's okay. We'll just append that in. Then we can do this, right? Otherwise, we'll see if they're trying to log in. So if they're not already logged in, or if they are logged in, great, we'll say welcome. If they're not logged in, if they didn't give us a username and password, give them the login page. Otherwise, right, then we'll go and try and log them in and see if that works here. We don't need to echo any of this stuff here. We need the password hash though. And then we will just, how about we just redirect them back then to this, we'll just say, you know, welcome so-and-so. So how about we header them back to, where is that? Goodness, I have to go look that one up. How were we doing those headers before? Header, include, there we go, header location. Because again, we don't want it to resend the post here, so we're going to go back to that login.php page, right? I guess maybe we even want, if it's invalid here then, right? If it's not valid, we should probably give them some sort of error message. Do we have an error view? I thought we had an error view somewhere. We have an error view. We can give it a message here and include the error. That's what we can do here. So else we'll have error is equal to invalid username or password. And then we want to include the error, use error PHP. So we should probably only header them if it is successful. Otherwise, we'll just include that error, and then they can essentially log in again. That won't give them the view then, will it? Probably need to include both. Let's try it. We'll try that. So let's give it a run. Come on, is it running? Store, our login page. Uh-oh, function is, oh, it's not, is set. What's it called? Oh, okay, that's right, sorry. If it's just is set, there's no underscore. Okay, if it's set. There we go. Let's try that. Oh, this one here. Login. Okay, so now we get the username. So let's give it an invalid username or password. Get warning. Oh, undefined variable message. Use line 4. Oh, it's not error. It's message. Shoot, not error. So the word is message. Okay, let's try that again then. Ooh, we even got the header somehow in the navigation here. That's weird. Go just to the login page. Yeah, okay, so our login view then is not, we're missing some stuff here for our view. We should be adding the header and footer stuff here, right? We'll include the header. And we want to include the footer. Okay, we'll make that page look a little cleaner here now. Okay, welcome to our shop. There's the nav. Probably add like a break in here because that's getting too close. There we go. So now we can do a username and password. So how about we add that to our navigation, right? Should we add that to our navigation? Our little header nav here. We'll add a login. Login. Go to the login controller. Okay, how about that? How about that? Now we can go to the login page, we can go home, right? All from here, we can go around. So, you know, gibberish here. Uh-oh, we got it twice here. I think we're including, not message? Error. No, it is message. Message. I said messages. Oh my goodness. Guess we'll just send them to the error page and they can go back. That's ugly, but that's probably okay. We'll go to the login page, ASDF, get invalid username or password, go back to login. Well, that's really obnoxious, but maybe we'll just have our own login here. We'll do the similar thing. We'll essentially steal this error view here. We'll check if there's an error. We'll do that. How about that? Because we want to do that. So how about if message does not equal nothing? Echo the message. You can probably do that. Let's try that. Instead of using that whole error page, maybe this will be a little cleaner here. Good evening, Android. How are you today? Undefined variable. So sad. Goodness. Login. The view. Can we do that here, maybe? PHP. If message not equal nothing. Go message. That's right. Don't do that in the controller. Try one more time. Go back to our login page. It's still there, undefined. Why am I forgetting my friends? Check if variable exists. There we go. Is set. Okay, is set. Sure. Been a while, friends. If is set message. We'll echo the message. Just want to make our page pretty. Okay, there. ASDF. Invalid username or password. Okay, no problem. Worked out okay there. Oh, that should happen after the BR, right? And then it should echo its own BR as well. How about that? We can just do it all in one line. Echo message and the BR. There we go. That's a little happier. Right? Invalid username or password. Finally, we're getting some messages here. Continue. All right. So if we log in with test and test that's successful, we get welcome test. Okay, we're getting there. So on our controller here, that's not great that we don't get the rest of the page, right? We don't, this is not necessarily what we really want here. So echoing here is not all that useful. So maybe we do the same sort of thing in the view, right? We'll forget that in the controller. So let's go to our controller, or our view here, and then we can do the same thing. Do another PHP block. Probably all in the same block then, right? Right, we could either echo the message, or if they're logged in, we'll say, welcome, you're logged in, sort of thing. How about that? We go to login, now it says welcome test. So I shouldn't actually need that block here. So if they're set, I don't need it. If it's not set, then I want this form to show up here. We want to do a PHP block, ending that curly brace here. So if they are logged in, we'll just echo welcome. If they're not logged in, then we'll give them the login form. We go back home, go to login. It just says welcome. There is no login here. Well, I probably need a button for logout, right? So maybe we add a button for logout. Remember, we needed that here. So we go form, shoot. We'll end the PHP block. We'll do the form for login, posting. Now all we need is an action here, right? As just a hidden, the name is action, and the value is logout. Let's call this logout. Right, and then we need to start our PHP code block for our else here and that. Man, this is looking pretty, real pretty here in the view. I think we're doing too much in the view, but it's probably okay. So if we're logged in, now we get a logout button. We can log out, and then we'll get the login page again. Test and test. It logs in. We get a logout button. We can log out. Test and test. We can log in. Looking good so far. So now, though, right? If we only want these management options to be viewable by someone who's logged in, we can set that in our nav as well. So in our header, then, we can say, hey, PHP, if is set as admin, then we want to include these things. And the block, and our nav. So now only if you're logged in do you get the management pages. Otherwise they're not there. Home login. Now they still exist, right? So I can go to, we got to log in, test and test. Right, so if I'm on the items page, right, I know it's, okay, so I'm sorry, each controller needs to start the session. Shoot, that's right. So when this start session happens, it doesn't find it here on our controllers. We need all the controllers to do that here. So we need a transaction controller to start the session. The login, we need the line item one to start the session. If you don't start the session, I can't go find it here. We need item to start the session. We need index. Index is fine. We don't need the session here. I guess we do because we have the top nav, right? So index should start the session. Customer should start the session. Actually, we didn't need those add line item and add transactions. I think we got rid of these individual pages, didn't we? I think we got rid of those ones. So delete the file. Delete the line item file. Oops. Oh, I deleted the wrong thing there. That's why. Delete. Okay. So if we start all of our sessions now, we should be in better shape. Let's try that. So we'll go back to our home page. We have items, we have customers, we have transactions, we have line items. We have our login here, which is, we're already logged in. Now if I log out, they're gone. But this doesn't say that I can't go to now items.php. Oops, not items. Item, sorry, item.php. There we go. And it still works. So what we need to do then, if this page shouldn't be viewable, right, we want another little check here, right, to say, hey, you shouldn't be here. So once we start the session, we can check each of these controllers, and we can, let's add another, probably add it to, can I add it as a model? Maybe we do. Let's add it. So the book does a nice thing. They add a utility section here. So this is utilities as a folder, and then inside of here, let's add a new file for validate admin is logged in. I don't know. Sure, why not? Okay, and then all it needs to do here, it needs to say, hey, if that thing is set or not. Where'd it go here? Oh goodness, where did it go? No, the login controller. This one. Where'd it go? It's set. My goodness, friends, this one here. So if not is set, then we're going to header to location of, I think we want login.php, probably. We'll header them to the login page. That's all we have to do. So we can include this page here then on any of these. So we'll start the session. Actually, I guess that should, there we go. Let's start the session here on that one. I like that. And then all of these here then can just include or require, we should require once here, right? The utility validate admin is logged in. So we'll start up the session and we'll make sure they're logged in. If they're not logged in, it'll bounce them back here. Right? So we can get rid of all those session starts too, which is really nice on those. Because it does start the session for us. So any page that shouldn't be accessible unless you're logged in, now we can add these checks for it here. So we can go home, go to login, right? So if we try now to go to that item.php file, we get headed back to the login page. Right? It's gone. We have to log in because I tried to get to an invalid page. Home, login, so login is test and test. Now when we are logged in, right, I can go to my items page and it doesn't header me away because I am logged in. We go to login, we log out, try to go back to items.php, and it bounces us back to login. Right? It says, oh, no, no good here. Oh, why did it? Was I on the secure the whole time? My goodness, that's fine. 5080. Doesn't really matter one way or the other because we're not actually connected here. But sure, why not? Home and login, test and test. So now we have our connection now is secured here. I mean, I guess that's kind of silly that it says login, but that's okay. We could change that in our header if we wanted to. We could change that maybe just to be a like logout, maybe. We could do that, maybe. Should we do that on our login controller? How about that? Let's change the header. We'll make this a little bit cleaner here. So in the header, then we can say, hey, if they are logged in, I'm sorry, if they are logged in, we'll include. Okay, so let's move this up to here. And we'll say if it's not logged in, we'll give them the login one. So if they're not logged in, we'll give them the login. Else, if they are logged in, we'll give them this stuff here. And the other one, then, we want a log out link that sends them to login PHP where the action is log out. Right? We can do that as a GET request here. We'll send them to this logout. So if I'm logged in, then it will say log out, right? It will take me to the login controller where action is log out. It logs me out, and I can log in again. Test and test. I'm logged in. Now my link is log out. Right? I can go to my pages here, log out, log in, no problem. That look fun? So we kind of can add this sort of cool stuff here based on whether or not we're logged in. How are you folks feeling so far? Kind of crazy, kind of crazy. All right, doing okay? Awesome. So that wraps up our chapter here. So let's forget about Java for now. So for our lab then, let's do lab 5. Let me go back to my classroom link. We'll make a lab 5 repository for you. So here we go. We'll make lab 5. CIS 2454, winter 2022, lab 5. Given our Oakland, is it going to show? No, community, college, community, I can't spell friends, Java template. There we go. I want to type the whole thing, but that search is super slow. Feedback pull requests. Here's our links. So this is due next week before class starts. 10 points for the lab. This is lab 5, we said. Lab 5. Login. Please submit the URL to your feedback pull request. Follow along from class today and implement a login feature for your store project. It's probably not worth setting up a login for a different project, so just set it up for the store project, version 2 or version 3, I don't really care which one. So we have to add the database tables, or table, right, for the user table. Now, we don't have a way yet to add users, so we need a way to register and add users. So right now, this was an admin user, so the use case is a little bit different. So when we get to the Twitter project, our final project, you want a way to be able to create an account, which will add a new user, and we'll talk more about that as we get a little closer here. So the use case is a little bit different, but still we're saying, hey, if you're logged in or not, we can do something here. Okay? That's what we're going to do for our lab practice here. So turn in that URL, please, for labs, text submission, and we should be in good shape, okay? Any thoughts, questions, concerns? Sorry, it was kind of a late night here. We had a lot to work on. So next week, we'll jump into Java land. We'll introduce the tools and some basics here and do our very first servlet. It should be a lot of fun. Okay? And I apologize for the delay in this grading stuff. It's I will be getting to it as soon as I can. I'm so sorry it's so slow. I know that's no fun, so I'll be working on that as I go. Okay? All right, if you don't have any other questions or concerns, we can probably call it a night then, and we should go see if there's anyone else out in Twitch land who might be fun to talk to. So I'll put on our little ending screen here. We'll see if there's anyone in Twitch land we should go raid for fun. See what's tonight. Could watch some retro games if we wanted. Oh, Owen's doing woodcraft. If you want to go watch some woodcrafting. Our friend Ashuri Yuki is a game designer by trade. She has a game published in Steam with her team, but now she's just a full-time content creator and does the gaming on the side rather than being a full-time game developer. Also have guy doing, I think it's Python. I forget. I don't actually see what language he's doing here. Or a friend playing Sea of Thieves. If you want to watch Sea of Thieves. We got a friend coding in Go. If you want to check out that, our friend RWX Rob. Or chess. If you want to watch some chess, Dungeons and Dragons is playing as well. If anyone has any votes, let me know. If not, we'll just head on out to somebody here and have some fun. Or paleontologizing, if you want to do more dinosaurs, he's also around. All right, nobody has any preferences. I think I lost all you folks. Sorry, that's okay. We'll head over. We'll talk to our friendly Viking friend. He's always a lot of fun here. Just for a good pick-me-up and a good time. We'll head over that way, and we'll take care. All right, folks? I will see you next week then. If there's anything I can do, let me know. Happy to talk to you and get you unstuck, pointing in the right direction. Take care.